What is up, guys? Fahir here from AwesomeDudes.com. Moving forward with our enemies, we have the snail and the beetle. Let's add some new enemies. Now, before we do that, don't forget to drag and drop the beetle in the prefabs folder. So enemy prefabs, drag and drop the beetle so that all changes are saved. And now we can simply deactivate it and add some new enemies. The next enemy that we want to add is in the sprites and enemies, and it's our bird. It's this dude right here. You see the crazy bird? This one right here, exactly. So we need to select him, select the sprite mode multiple, go into the sprite editor and slice it. So let's click on slice and slice every single piece of the bird. So we have this one. Let me just check if everything is sliced correctly. So yeah, everything is okay. Hit apply, and now we can continue. So we are gonna have the animation of the bird carrying the stone and also the animation of the bird not carrying the stone. The first one will be, and that is the initial one, the bird carrying the stone, because it will attack with that stone. It will detect where the player is and it will throw the stone at the player. So select from bird_4 up to bird_7 and drag and drop that right here in the scene view. Now go into the animations folder. This is where we are going to save the animations, and I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this one bird animations. Hit enter to create it, and this is going to be our bird stone animation, bird carrying the stone. I'm simply going to say bird stone and hit enter to apply that change. Now, before we continue, you know that we still need to create more animations. So before we continue, I am going to do what? I am going to create more animations of the bird. So we are going to have here, so select the bird in the hierarchy, go into the animation tab, click on the drop down list and create a new clip. And this is going to be our bird fly animation. This is where we are going to add, well, the animations for the bird flying. And we are simply going to, well, select all of the animations that we want and simply drag and drop them right here. So I'm going to say the samples for the frames are going to be 10. This means 10 frames per second. So I'm going to drag from bird_0 up to bird_3. Drag and drop these right here so that we have them in our animation. And these samples, as I already mentioned, these are frames per second. So how many frames do we want to have in this animation in a second? We have 10 frames. And the last one, so select the drop down list, create a new clip. This is going to be our bird dead animation. Hit enter and drag and drop the last frame, which is, well, this one right here, bird_8. So let's just preview these animations. So this is the bird stone, bird carrying the stone. We can set the samples here, let's say to 10, and preview the animation again. Yeah. Setting the samples to a lower frame rate will make the animation slower. So this is our current animation of the bird carrying the stone. This is when the bird flies. You see it flies without the stone. And this is the bird dead animation. Simply bird is dead. So let's continue with the bird and add some more fixes to it. First of all, I'm going to rename it to bird. Simply rename it to bird in the hierarchy. Change the scale to 0.5.5. This is how large I want the bird to be. We do need to attach here. So add component box collider 2D on the bird. Now let me just go here. I'm not going to use the whole animation or whole image with the collider. I'm going to resize the collider on the Y a little bit and move him a little bit upward, something like this. Okay, this is okay. So for the offset on the Y, set 0.37. For the size on the Y, set 1.71. And we are going to use a rigid body 2D to attach it on the bird. By the way, since we are going to move the bird with the transform, we are going to set the rigid body to be kinematic, because if we don't, if it's dynamic, notice what's going to happen when we run the game. The bird will fall down. This is not what we want, but we want the bird to stay in the sky, which that is possible if the bird, you see, has kinematic set on it. So this is the bird carrying the stone. And what we are going to do next? Well, we're gonna go into the scripts folder, enemy scripts, right click, create a new C# script. This is gonna be our enemy bird script. So simply gonna call it bird script. Attach it on the bird itself by dragging and dropping. Double click it and open it in Mono Develop. So what is our objective here? We need to add a couple of variables as always in order to have something to work with. So what do we need with the bird? Well, we need to have the bird's egg or that stone that the bird is going to throw. We also need the animator. We need the rigid body. So here we're going to say private rigid body 2D, which I'm going to call my body. We also need a private animator, which I'm going to call anim. We also need the movement variable. So we're going to have a private vector 3. This is going to be move direction, which is by default going to be equal to vector 3 left. Vector 3 left is a shorthand for writing -1 on the x-axis, 0, 0 for y and z. Why -1 on the x? Because it will determine the direction. Direction is left. Remember the Unity coordinate system on the x or horizontal coordinates, right side is the positive, left side is the negative. This is only going to determine the movement direction. Next thing that we need is a private vector 3. This is going to be our origin position or the original position where we have started our game. We're also going to have a private vector 3. This is going to be our move position or where are we moving towards to. Next, we need a public game object, which is going to be our bird egg. I'm not going to call it stone. I'm going to call it egg. Let's pretend that's a bird egg. We also need a private or public, layer mask, which is going to be our player layer. So layer. And we need a private boolean. So private bool is going to be attacked. So this will indicate if we have already attacked with the bird or we did not attack. And we're going to create a private bool. And here we're going to say can move to determine if we can move or not. Now, the first thing that we are going to do is make our bird move. So going here, we're going to say void awake. In the awake, we're going to say my body. We're going to get the component rigid body 2D component. Anim is going to be equal to get component animator. If this is how it is pronounced, I don't care, even if you correct me. So moving forward, the origin position is going to be equal to transform that position. And our origin position dot x, we're going to add 6 to it. So plus equals to 6. What is this? Well, let me just finish this code and I will explain what we are doing here. Our move position is going to be equal to transform that position, and our move position dot x is going to be minus equals to 6. And finally, can move is true to indicate that we can move. What am I doing with the origin position and the movement position? You see, when we get the origin position and the move position, both are equal to our current position. So transform that position, which is our current position where we put the bird in the game. Now, I want to move the bird between 2 points. That is the move position and the origin position. But what is the catch here? If I add and subtract, so here I'm adding 6 and here I'm subtracting 6, because first we're going to move to the left side and we're going to move 6 units, and then we're going to turn back and move to the origin position, but I've also subtracted from it 6. So what does that mean? That means the following. So if I go here, the origin position is right here. So this is our transform position. We are moving using the move position because I have subtracted 6 from it. So this is the initial position, minus 6. Let's say that number is somewhere around here. So the bird will move towards here, up to here. When it reaches that, it will start going back. Now, I don't want the bird just to go back up to here. Instead, I have also added 6 to here, which is somewhere around here. So this point. So the bird will move from here up to here and backwards, from there up to here, so on and so forth. So it will go from here to here, then back to here, then back. It will move left and right between these 2 points. You see now the catch that I did here. Instead of moving the bird like this, I'm gonna move it like this by subtracting 6 from the move position and adding 6 to the origin position. Now, in order to move the bird, we're going to do that in the update, but below the update, we're going to say void move the bird like this. And here we're going to test if can move. So if we can move, then we are going to move the bird. In the update function, call this move the bird function so that we don't forget that and we don't move the bird when we test the game. So in the move the bird function, if we can move, we are going to call transform translate. So translate. This moves the transform in the direction and distance of the translation. So what is the direction? Direction is going to be move direction multiplied with time dot smooth delta time, a smoothed out delta time. This is a smoothed out delta time. So delta time is the time between frames. The smooth delta time is the smoothed delta time. So the smoothed time between frames. And it's going to move it in this direction. You see the direction is either going to be left or right. So we are moving it towards this direction. And we are multiplying that movement with the smooth delta time, which will move the bird in the update function. So translate, think of only of translate as a function that will move in the given direction. So it will move the game object in the given direction. What is the next thing to do? Well, the next thing to do to test if our transform.position.x is greater or equal to origin position x. So if it's greater or equal to the original position x, which we added 6 to, what we're going to do, we are going to change the direction. So we're going to say here, move direction is now equal to vector 2 dot left, or actually vector 3 dot left. Else, if our transform.position.x is less than or equal to move position.x, we are also going to call the move position. And we are going to say right here, actually, this is not the move position, this is the move direction. And also here, move direction. It's going to be equal to vector 3 dot right, like this. So what are we actually doing here? If our transform position x is greater than the origin position, you know that the origin position, we added 6 to it. So the origin position is somewhere around here. You see, let me just go to my highlight tool. Origin position is somewhere around here. And the move position is somewhere around here. So if our x is greater than the origin position, so if it goes beyond this point, we need to go back, which means to the left side. If our position here goes beyond this point right here, so it goes beyond this point, that means we need to go back, which means to the right side. So this is what we are doing in our code. So if our position x is greater or equal to the origin position x, we need to go back to the left. If our position x is less than or equal to move position x, we need to go back to the right. And this is what we are doing. We can test it out now. So if I go back here in Unity and hit the play button, you see, let us just wait for the bird. It will reach a certain point here and it will start going back. You see, it starts going back. Let's see the other side where it will go. So it will go somewhere near here where my mouse is pointing. So somewhere around here. Okay, a little bit further, not a little bit, but somewhere a little bit. Anyways, you see it goes between 2 points. That is the origin position -6 and let me just take the highlight tool here again. So the origin position is somewhere around here. -6 will bring it here and +6 will bring it here. The bird moves between these positions, left and right, left and right. This is what we are doing. Now we also need to change the direction of the bird. Notice one thing, that the bird's scale, so if I select the bird, you see the scale of the bird is 0.5. We will need to pay attention to that, because if we go here right below our move the bird, we are going to create void change direction, which is going to take a float direction like this. And we are simply going to do vector 3 temp scale is equal to transform local scale. Temp scale dot x is equal to the direction, and transform dot local scale is equal to temp scale, and voila, we are good to go. So here when we are moving this to the left side, we're simply going to call change direction 0.5f. And when we are moving to the right side, we're going to call change direction negative 0.5f. Now, why are we doing here negative or positive and here negative? Because same issue as with our needle, or actually beetle and the snail. The original facing of our bird is to the left side. So when the scale of the bird is negative, it faces the right side, but when it's positive, it faces the left side. We have already explained this because this is how these assets are drawn. So if I hit the play button now, you see the bird will reach a certain point. So notice now, bam, it reaches here. And now it goes back, you see? So now the bird is going backwards. When it reaches another point right here, so let's just go and wait for the bird to reach that other point. Bam, it will start going back. So you see this actually works. Let me just go here and do something like, if I try to do multiplied, let's say by, I don't know, 3 here. Let us just see if it will speed up the bird a little bit. Hit the run button. Yeah, it actually speeds up the bird quite a bit. So we can use some kind of float, private float speed. So we can do something like this. Private float speed. It's equal to, let's say 2.5f. And we can add the speed right here, just so that the bird moves a little bit faster. Let me hit the play button again. And you see the bird is actually moving a little bit faster, which is more preferable than the bird moving like it has some alcohol problems, okay? So in the next video, we will program the bird throwing the stone at our player and trying to hit the player with the stone. And Fahir here from AwesomeTunes.com. I will see you in the next video.